Hello. I'll be talking about like OpenZeppelin, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe that's the right pronunciation, but it's just a bunch of library that you can use to you can incorporate into your smart contract. And because these are like established community vetted like library, it's been checked by the community, it's been vetted by the community, so you can use it in your application, right? Because most of the contracts like have like certain common functionality that needs to be done, maintain, transfer, stuff like that. So those, what OpenZeppelin tries to do is that it tries to write a contract, right? Try to build like a foundation for this some of those common functionality, and based on that, it tries to implement them in a correct way that is vetted by the community, and you can put that into your application, and boom, you don't have to re-implement that, right? Basically. So if you can see, it says right here also, you just have to like npm install and use it in your application. Look at this, right? Right. Look at this. Let's say you're using like ERC20. This is a common functionality, right? Looking at the constructor, creating supply, blah, blah, blah. And some of this functionality uh, doesn't need to be re-implemented. All you have to do is just import, open Zeppelin, use the right contract, and you're good to go. That's what Open Zeppelin is doing. I think my biggest thing is that it's community vetted, the security, right? It's community vetted, and they are more likely, the community is more likely to catch an issue before you do, unless you are, very sure of yourself. But in most cases, the community is going to, see issues in some of this contract before you. So it's better to use some of this established contract, and that's what Open Zeppelin is trying to do. Now I'm actually going through an application right now. Right, I'm going through an application right now, and this application it's doing exactly the same thing. Right, it's using, in fact, it's using an interface, Open Zeppelin interface, um, using it in its own personal interface, and also right here, as you can see, it's using directly a contract, right? So, and incorporating that contract into its own contract, right? It allows you to spend less time doing re-implementation of something that almost, every contract goes through, right? You just import a trusted contract, that is well vetted, and you use it in your application, and everybody's good to go, right? Now, the only risk I see here is the risk of, supply chain attack, whereby the imported contract, because it opens up lane, because you trust it, it gets something else gets, some trickles into it, a bug, an exploit, and you import into your application, then which allows someone to be able to exploit your application, right? But the risk of that is low compared to the risk of you doing your own, self-implementation. So that's just the main advantage I see with OpenZeppelin, right? Using established contract interface and resources. Now, the other thing I would like to talk about is the other thing I'd like to talk about, of course, is let's go to the NatSpec. Now, the NatSpec is actually very interesting because it allows you to basically document your contract, right? Whether it's your contract is your function, right? You can specify the author of it, but which most contract doesn't. So just you can specify the title, uh, title, simply means title of the contract, and what do you want to call it? Author, someone that wrote the contract, notice what the contract is about. Dev, maybe extra like technical details that the dev should be aware of, right? You can also like do the same thing for your function, right? The author, the notice, the dev, the parameter, each parameter, you define each parameter and a return value. I think the main advantage of this is that it helps document your contract more, and also it helps. I think it helps a lot of. newer people who are trying to onboard into your contract, smart contract, to really understand it. And also, it might also help during audit of your contract, right? It makes it easier for the auditor to see what your contract is actually trying to do. Yeah, it's nothing genius. All right, so basically that's it. Those are the two things I would like to speak to today. Yes, once I find more stuff, I'm going to keep recording.